Ladies and gentlemen, life has a way of surprising us in the most unexpected places. Sometimes, joy doesn't come from grand achievements or material possessions. It comes from the simple act of being present, of reconnecting with our bodies and calming our restless minds. In today's fast-moving world, we often forget that our greatest source of strength and happiness lies within us. That's where mind-body movement steps in. Whether it's gentle stretching, slow intentional breathing, or flowing practices like yoga and Tai Chi, these movements awaken more than just muscles. They awaken peace, vitality, and a renewed sense of purpose. For many, especially in later years, this discovery feels like uncovering a hidden treasure, the joy of movement, not just as exercise, but as nourishment for the soul. Before we begin, if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss any video. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to start a new workout routine, but how quickly the enthusiasm fades? In the beginning, we're full of energy, lacing up our shoes, ready to push through. But after a few weeks, the treadmill feels like a punishment, the weights feel heavier than before, and the thought of exercise becomes a burden rather than a joy. It's no wonder so many people give up, thinking that fitness is nothing more than a chore on an endless to-do list. And yet, deep down, our bodies are wired to move. Not just for health, but for happiness. The problem isn't that we don't want to move. It's that we've lost the joy in movement itself. This is where mind-body movement changes everything. Instead of treating exercise like a punishment for what we ate or a duty to stay in shape, mind-body practices invite us to reconnect movement with meaning. They remind us that the body and the mind are not separate, but partners in creating balance, energy, and even joy. Imagine replacing the noise of a crowded gym with the quiet rhythm of your breath, the rush of machines with the flow of intentional motion. Doesn't that sound less like a workout and more like a gift? Take the example of someone who felt this transformation firsthand. A woman in her late 60s once shared that after years of struggling to stay fit, she dreaded going to the gym. Everything felt mechanical and forced. But one day, she joined a local Tai Chi class. At first, she thought it would just be slow-motion exercise. Instead, she found something deeper, graceful movements sensed with calm breathing, a sense of inner focus she had never experienced before. She said, "For the first time in my life, I wasn't exercising to burn calories. I was moving to feel alive." That's the unexpected joy we're talking about. Mind-body movement can take many forms. For some, it's yoga, a chance to stretch the body while calming the mind. For others, it's Tai Chi, where gentle flowing patterns feel like a dance between energy and balance. And sometimes, it's as simple as mindful walking, where each step is taken with awareness, breathing in rhythm with the pace of life itself. These aren't just alternatives to traditional exercise. They are doorways to discovering what it feels like to truly be present in your own body. Now you might wonder, how can you bring this into your own life? Start small. First, try replacing just 10 minutes of your usual routine with a mindful practice. Stretch slowly, breathe deeply, and let your movements match your breath. Second, experiment with walking not as a rush to get somewhere, but as a chance to notice your surroundings, your footsteps, the air, the rhythm of your body. Third, explore a class or video that introduces yoga, Tai Chi, or even simple guided breathing exercises. The key is not perfection, but connection. Ask yourself, am I simply exercising, or am I moving with awareness? The truth is, movement doesn't have to feel like a battle. It can feel like flow, like harmony between mind and body. When you shift from chasing results to embracing presence, exercise stops being a chore and starts being a joy. And isn't joy what we're really searching for? Not just longer years, but better, richer, more meaningful ones. The invitation is simple: go beyond the gym, discover your flow, and let movement become something that doesn't drain you, but fills you with unexpected energy and happiness. We often think of exercise as something that shapes the body: toned muscles, stronger bones, better balance. But what if the greatest benefits of movement aren't the ones we can see in the mirror? What if the real treasures lie beneath the surface, hidden in the way our minds sharpen, our moods lift, and our inner world begins to feel calmer and more alive? Too often, these unseen benefits are overlooked, yet they are the very things that make life richer and more meaningful. Think about it. When you engage in mind body practices, you're not just stretching muscles, you're stretching your ability to focus. You're not just building strength, you're building resilience. Studies show that intentional movement, like yoga, tai chi, or even mindful walking, boosts memory, sharpens attention, and sparks creativity. Haven't you noticed how sometimes your best ideas arrive not when you're sitting at a desk forcing yourself to think, but when you're moving, relaxed, and fully present? That's no accident. Movement has a way of unlocking the brain's hidden potential. I remember a man in his 70s who shared his story of rediscovery. After retirement, he felt his memory slipping, his thoughts scattered, and stress weighing heavily on him. Traditional exercise never appealed to him, but his daughter encouraged him to try a gentle yoga class. At first, he was skeptical. He thought it was just stretching. But after a few months, he noticed something unexpected. He could recall names and details more easily. He felt calmer in stressful moments, and he even began painting again, a hobby he had abandoned years before. He said, "It felt like someone had cleared the fog in my head." That wasn't just a physical change. It was the unseen power of mind-body movement at work. Beyond cognition, there's the emotional uplift. Mind-body practices are proven to reduce stress, ease anxiety, and bring a sense of peace that many people spend their whole lives searching for. Instead of carrying the weight of constant worry, even a few minutes of focused movement and breath can give you the space to release tension. The body relaxes, the heart rate slows, and the mind finally feels like it can breathe again. Ask yourself, how often do you give your mind that gift? How often do you let yourself step out of chaos and into calm? Another remarkable benefit is the deeper connection these practices build with your own body. Too many of us spend years ignoring our body's signals, pushing through fatigue, numbing stress with distraction, treating ourselves like machines instead of human beings. But when you practice mind-body movement, you start listening differently. You notice how your shoulders relax when you breathe deeply. You become aware of how a simple stretch can release not just tightness in your muscles, but also in your emotions. That awareness builds self-compassion. Instead of criticizing your body for what it can't do, you begin appreciating it for what it faithfully gives you every single day. So how can you bring these unseen benefits into your life? First, carve out 5 to 10 minutes each day for mindful movement. It doesn't need to be complex. Just stretch slowly, breathe with intention, and pay attention to how you feel. Second, try combining movement with a creative activity. For example, take a short walk and then journal the first thoughts that come to mind. You'll be surprised how much more clearly your ideas flow. Third, practice body awareness once a day. Pause and scan your body from head to toe. Notice tension, release it, and simply acknowledge your body's presence without judgment. The truth is, movement is about so much more than muscles. It is about clarity, peace, and the joy of reconnecting with yourself. The mirror might show you one kind of progress, but your mind and heart will reveal a far deeper transformation. And isn't that what we're truly after? Not just a stronger body, but a stronger, calmer, more creative and compassionate self. The unseen benefits are waiting. All you have to do is step into them. Do you remember what it felt like to play as a child? To run, stretch, jump, and move simply for the joy of it, without worrying about how you looked or whether you were exercising correctly. Somewhere along the way, many of us lose that sense of freedom. And by the time we reach our later years, society often tells us to slow down, to accept limitations, and to avoid too much movement for fear of injury. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if the later years aren't about stopping, but about rediscovering that childlike joy of play through gentle, mindful movement? One of the biggest misconceptions about aging is that it means inevitable decline, that flexibility, balance, and energy are gone for good. While it's true that the body changes, it doesn't mean vitality has to vanish. Mind-body practices like yoga, tai chi, or even playful stretching have been proven to improve balance, increase energy, and protect independence. More importantly, they help people tap into a sense of joy and possibility rather than limitation. It's not about competing with others or pushing the body beyond its capacity. It's about listening, moving, and enjoying what's still possible, often far more than we believe. Consider the story of Harold, a man who celebrated his 80th birthday by joining a community Tai Chi group. Before starting, he often struggled with stiffness in his joints and a fear of falling that made him avoid walking long distances. At first, he was hesitant, worried he wouldn't be able to keep up, but he quickly discovered that the slow, flowing movements of Tai Chi weren't just manageable. They were empowering. Within a few months, Harold's balance improved so much that he walked with confidence again. More surprising, he said he felt lighter, not just in his body but in his spirit. "It feels like I'm playing again," he told his instructor. Isn't that a beautiful reminder that play isn't reserved for children? So how can you, or someone you know, rediscover that sense of playful movement in later years? First, start with gentle practices. Even 5 minutes of seated stretching or mindful breathing can awaken parts of the body that have been ignored for too long. Second, focus on balance-based activities. Simple exercises like standing on one leg while holding onto a chair or practicing slow, deliberate steps can build stability and reduce the fear of falling. Third, bring in joy by choosing movements that feel enjoyable. Dance a little in your living room, sway to your favorite music, or walk outdoors and notice the world around you. The point isn't perfection, it's play. Think about it. When was the last time you moved in a way that made you smile? When was the last time you gave yourself permission to feel light and free instead of cautious and limited? These questions aren't just rhetorical, they're invitations to rethink what's possible in your later years. Because the truth is, rediscovering play through mindful movement isn't only about physical health, it's about emotional vitality, mental sharpness, and living with a renewed sense of enthusiasm. The later years of life don't have to be defined by decline. They can be defined by curiosity, by laughter, by the joy of moving not because you have to, but because you want to. Just as Harold discovered, play can be rediscovered at any age. All it takes is a willingness to begin, a gentle step forward, and the openness to let movement bring energy, confidence, and delight back into your life. So why not start today? After all, the joy of play isn't behind you. It's still right here, waiting to be rediscovered. Sometimes we believe that joy only comes in big moments, like reaching a milestone, completing a challenge, or achieving something remarkable. But the truth is, some of the greatest joys in life come in small, simple steps. The same is true for movement. You don't need an hour at the gym or a complicated workout plan to feel better. Sometimes, it's just 5 minutes of stretching, a few mindful breaths, or a short walk that can turn your entire day around. Little steps, taken consistently, create not only healthier bodies, but also brighter, happier lives. One of the biggest misconceptions about movement is that it has to be intense to be effective. We imagine sweating through long workouts or pushing ourselves to exhaustion. But joy doesn't come from intensity, it comes from consistency. Think about it. Isn't it easier to commit to a small daily habit than to force yourself into something overwhelming? When movement becomes something you look forward to rather than dread, that's when it transforms from a task into a source of happiness. Let me share the story of Maria, a 62-year-old grandmother who used to say she just didn't have time for exercise. Between caring for her grandkids, helping around the house, and managing her own responsibilities, the thought of committing to a workout plan felt impossible. But instead of giving up, she started with something simple: 5 minutes of gentle stretching in the morning while her coffee brewed. Slowly, she added mindful breathing during her afternoon tea break and short walks with her grandchildren in the evenings. Over time, not only did her energy improve, but she also noticed she smiled more, laughed more, and felt less stressed. Maria said, "It wasn't about exercise anymore. It was about enjoying little moments of movement in my day." That's the power of small steps leading to big smiles. So how can you begin weaving joyful movement into your own daily routine? First, make it easy. Start with something as simple as standing up from your chair and rolling your shoulders back 3 times. It might sound small, but those little signals of care to your body matter. Second, anchor movement to something you already do every day. For example, take 3 deep, mindful breaths before you check your phone in the morning, or stretch your legs while watching TV in the evening. Third, give yourself permission to celebrate the little wins. If you walked for 5 minutes, stretched for 2, or even just remembered to pause and breathe, you've already made progress. Ask yourself what would happen if, instead of waiting for the perfect time to exercise, you chose to sprinkle moments of movement into the day you already live. What if joy didn't require hours of effort, but only a few intentional minutes? These are small changes, but they build a ripple effect that transforms not just your body, but your mood, your energy, and even your outlook on life. The beauty of joyful movement is that it doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't ask you to keep up with anyone else's pace. It simply invites you to begin, where you are, with what you have, for as long as you can. Small steps, repeated with love and consistency, unlock a wellspring of energy and happiness. And before you know it, those little moments of mindful movement will add up to something far greater. A life filled with big smiles, renewed vitality, and a deeper sense of joy every single day. There comes a moment in every life when you pause and ask yourself, am I really living fully, or am I just getting through the days? That question can feel heavy, but it also carries a spark of possibility. Because wholeness, the feeling of being alive in body, mind, and spirit, isn't reserved for the young, the athletic, or the naturally energetic. It's available to each of us, right here, right now. And the path to that wholeness often begins with something surprisingly simple, finding the kind of movement that makes you feel not just stronger, but more complete. Mind-body movement is not one size fits all. For some, it might be the stillness and breathwork of yoga. For others, it's the gentle flow of Tai Chi or the quiet rhythm of mindful walking. And for many, it's simply stretching in the morning sun or swaying to music in the kitchen. The beauty lies in the freedom to choose. Your journey is unique, and so is the practice that will awaken joy and connection within you. Isn't it empowering to know you don't have to fit into someone else's version of fitness, that you can create your own? Take the example of Evelyn, a retired teacher in her 70s. For years, she believed exercise wasn't for her because she didn't enjoy the gym. Then, one day, she attended a community class in chair yoga. To her surprise, she felt both relaxed and energized afterward. That single session became the spark that led her to explore more forms of movement. Over time, she built a routine that included gentle yoga in the mornings, short walks with friends in the afternoons, and music-inspired stretching in the evenings. Evelyn said, "I finally feel whole again, like I'm not just living longer, but living better." Her story reminds us that the invitation to wholeness is always open, no matter your age or background. So, how can you begin your own journey? First, experiment without pressure. Try a short guided video, join a local class, or simply take a walk with full attention on your breath and surroundings. See what feels right, and don't worry about getting it perfect. Second, commit to just 5 minutes a day. It may not sound like much, but consistency creates the foundation for transformation. Third, reflect afterward. Ask yourself how you feel, not just physically, but emotionally. Did your mind feel clearer? Did you notice a shift in your mood? These small reflections help you discover what truly resonates with you. Here's something to think about. What would happen if you gave yourself permission to explore movement, not as a duty, but as a discovery? What if, instead of chasing results, you chased experiences that made you feel more alive? That's the invitation of mind-body movement. It's not about ticking off boxes, but about uncovering the joy that's been waiting inside you all along. And now, I want to extend that invitation to you personally. Try something new this week, however small, and notice the difference it makes. Then, share your experience, whether it's a challenge you faced, a joy you discovered, or even a question you still carry. Your story might be the very encouragement someone else needs to begin. Because this isn't just about movement, it's about connection, growth, and rediscovering the joy that makes life meaningful. The journey to wholeness is not a distant destination. It's a series of small steps taken with openness and courage. And the best part, you don't have to walk it alone. Each step you take brings you closer to the unexpected joy of living fully, vibrantly, and authentically. Your journey begins today, and the invitation is yours to accept. Thank you